Welcome to Whiskey One, the channel for the novice, the curious, and the connoisseur. I'm Whiskey One, and today we're going to get into some High West straight bourbons that have been blended and finished with Chardonnay casks. I had to go there, so stick around. All right, you whiskey fans of the whiskey, I am getting into a High West bottling. Not something that I don't usually do, but I thought let's get into something that is pretty cool, wine finished bourbon. And in particular, this is a single barrel by our good folks over at the Latitude's liquor store. Well, they're not really a liquor store, they happen to sell alcohol. It's technically like a convenience store here in the Rio Rancho, Albuquerque area. I love to frequent Latitudes. Anybody that's in Albuquerque and is a whiskey fan definitely goes to Latitudes because they have a great selection. And like I said, it happens to be a convenience store. And now they have the Laguna Burger, and why am I getting into all this? I guess I'm just trying to give them a shout out. So shout out to Ron Brown and the staff there at Latitudes. They do a great job of, you know, selecting barrel picks, and they have quite a few. So if you're ever in the Albuquerque, Rio Rancho area, you know, drive by there and see what they have. When I saw this, I thought, geez, I better get into this because I know that Ron and his team definitely get into good whiskey and they do some really great picks. Now, in particular, I haven't tried it yet, so this will be a fresh uncorking, but I am a fan of High West, and I've been recently seeing this like new release of their cask collection, and this happens to be a blend of straight bourbons. This is bottled at 100 proof, 50% alcohol, and I cannot read for the life of me the batch number, but it looks like it's close to 23E22 or 82. I don't know. But like I said, it is a barrel pick. And usually with barrel picks though, they typically bottle them at cask strength. Maybe not 100% of the time, but that's kind of like the way they do things. So let's get that bottle pop. Yeah, baby. All right, let's get into this. And while I pour, I want to do a quick shout out to my patrons and subscribers, folks that show me some love, and I do appreciate you guys. I haven't been making as much videos lately. I've just been doing a lot more community stuff, doing tastings, doing live videos and whatnot, and less of the production work. I'll just tell you, it takes a lot of work to edit these videos. And honestly, I'd rather be like sitting with you guys and drinking in person than spending hours and hours editing. But you know, the show's got to go on and you got to do what you got to do. For the folks that aren't here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I want to show you guys love too by making these videos. Now, why am I doing this one if this is just a local pick? So even though Latitudes did a barrel pick locally, when I've been to Arizona, when I've been to Colorado, I've seen also the High West Chardonnay, you know, cask finished. And I thought, well, geez, if they're doing that in different states, you know, I'm pretty sure people would like to know like what's in store, like what is this all about? So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with the nose. Okay, I kind of predicted this. Very fruity, very fruity. The only thing is, I don't know that I would peg it for like a wine cask necessarily. So if any of you guys have ever had like a brandy cask finish whiskey, then going to this and doing it blind will probably make you feel like, okay, this is a brandy cask finish. Very fruity, fruit forward. You get the telltale signs that this is a bourbon because it's also sweet. It's got loads of caramel and toffee, oak, leather. You know, I guess you can say that this is a Chardonnay cask whiskey, but here's where I'm going with this. If you were to pour this blind, I think most folks that even are, you know, not novices, but they definitely have had quite a few whiskeys that have been finished in wine cask, may not peg this for a Chardonnay. I just feel like this feels more on the brandy side. You know, a lot more apple, stewed apples, a lot more peaches going on. Like a lot. So a lot of orchard fruits. But man, you know, when I typically think of wine cask, there's usually like a bit of mustiness to it, and it's there, but it's very faint. So far on the nose, I like it. Like I said, a lot of brown sugar, caramel, you know, typical for bourbon. But now, yeah, as this is starting to open up a little bit and breathing, maybe I should have just let this breathe for about 15 minutes and then come back to it. But boy, would that be a long video. So I'll spare you. Yeah, I personally think that this is fruit forward, and I really like the nose so far. Like, very flavorful, just on the nose. So let's get into the taste. Cheers. Oh, man, you know, typically I prefer whiskey that's bottled at cask strength. And when I saw that this was a single barrel, I thought immediately that it was a cask strength or bottled at cask strength or barrel proof, right? And it's not. This is 100 proof, like I mentioned earlier. But you know what? I think them adding a bit of water to this really helps to open it up. Now that initial sip, it's actually very good. It's dancing on the tongue. I get a lot of fruits, just like I mentioned, you know, just on the nose. Those fruits really spark and like shoot out at you. It's very vibrant. I like what's happening just on a taste. It's not hot at all. It's very, very easy drinking. I would say that this might be one of those dangerous bottles that you get into with your friends, and before you realize it, you've drank half the bottle. Just because this is one of those that you want to keep going to. But I'm going to take another sip and then really see like what's happening here. All right, folks, so I thought I'd do a quick intermission for all you guys watching. You might be wondering, like, what are these little bad boys that you might see from time to time? And this is our little Glen hats. Our little whiskey hats that we put on our Glencairns. So that way, you know, when it's hot outside, you're sipping with your friends, you want to keep the bugs out. This is a great way to do it. It fits perfectly on your Glencairn. Hit me up, send me a message, DM me. I'll send you one for free. I'll mail it out to you. And if you're nice, you're really cool, I'll send you two. All right, and we have them in metallic turquoise, metallic copper, and even just a few left of the gold. I don't know how many we have left, but I think we have a few of these. Cheers. Wow, okay. Peaches, stone fruits, stewed fruits. Man, you know when you're trying to make like fresh marmalade, you're stewing the fruits, that's what this reminds me of a lot. Very dense and fruit-forward notes. Almost to the point that the bourbon itself is sort of masquerading in the back. You see it, you know it's there, you don't really like feel it as much as you do the wine cask. Now, all right, this is where a whiskey purist is gonna shoot this bottle down and say, well, I don't like it. It doesn't feel like a bourbon. I don't like it, just too much wine cask. And me personally, I get bored with bourbon. I'll just say it. Like, when I think of bourbon, you get a lot of the stereotypical notes. And I think that lately with all the different wine cask finishings that's out there and the experimentation that's going out there has really sort of opened up bourbon in ways that now you don't necessarily know what to expect, and you get taken for a ride. Like, you go on this little adventure that, you know, you go off the beaten path. And I feel like with the wine cask finishings these days, like, that's the goal, right? Because everybody's tried bourbon at this point. If you're watching this channel, hopefully you've tried a few bourbons and you understand where I'm coming from. But I really like what's happening here. And I honestly think that you can't go wrong with doing a barrel pick with High West. And I'll just say this, like, I've tasted a handful of different barrel picks, whether they were the double rye or a separate bourbon cask select. And I think High West just makes good stuff. Now, granted, they do source their whiskey, but they're sourcing great whiskey. Number one, if you are not in the know, they're sourcing, you know, MGP or Ross and Squibb, and which makes a ton of whiskey. Now, as far as my overall thoughts and impression, number one, this was an affordable bottle. I think the retail was between $65, $70. And I think that's the right move here. It's not, you know, a premium price tag that they place on this. There's plenty of this on the shelf right now. This is a fresh release. And I want to tip my hat off to the folks at Latitudes for doing a barrel pick of this specific whiskey. So, you know, I really like what's happening here. Personally, I want to take one more sip before I tell you who I feel this speaks to. So let's get into this one more time.
And now a word from our sponsors.
I get some caramel. I think the first thing for me that stands out.
Are you tired of having a trash palate?
It smells a lot like lemon meringue pie.
Do you find yourself never getting all those flavors you keep hearing about? Does your glassware feel dull and uninspired? Are you ready to have the best palate south of Iceland? Well, then it's time to get your very own Whiskey One Glencairn.
Mind you, I think if we were having like a 10-year, an 8-year, even a 12-year, you would get a little bit more peat.
That makes whiskey so much better.
Contact us now to place your order of limited edition, exclusive and rare, American-made Whiskey One Glencairns. Now for the low non-chill filtered and anti-inflation rate of $10 plus shipping and handling. Taste proven has not been scientifically proven in any way, but you probably knew that already.
Necessarily. Okay. There's two different types of whiskey drinker out there that I think this would speak to. Number one is the whiskey novice.
100%.
First of all, I think that if you were just getting into whiskey, odds are you've at least tried bourbon. And this would be a great gateway to exploring things that are not quite bourbon, but, you know, finished bourbon whiskey. And I think this is a great representation of what that could be. And then I think of the whiskey aficionado. You know, the aficionado is going to look for a bottle these days that isn't going to break the bank, but is a top-notch whiskey. Lately, I've been seeing a lot of whiskey out there that's just a little bit inflated for what you get. And it's usually because it's a limited release, a special bottling, who gives a shit? But honestly, I think that lately we could use a little bit of a break from all the high-priced stuff and still taste great whiskey. And I think that's exactly what I'm sipping on right now, is a great whiskey. So, you know, also tip of the hat to High West for continuing to do a great job. It's rare that I come across a bottle of High West that's trash or garbage. Matter of fact, I've never had a trash or garbage bottle from them, so I guess they're in good standing with me anyway. But I just want to kind of mention, like, they make good stuff, and I don't think you're ever really going to be disappointed with anything, even on the lower tier stuff. Now I really want to try and get into the rum cask finished High West, just because, you know, lately they've been knocking it out of the park. So for you guys watching, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If, like I said, you've tried this before, let me know what your thoughts are. I would love to hear from you. Also, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I would love to get your support. I'm sure I'm going to do a written review, so if you can, check me out on Facebook or Instagram. And lately, we've been trying to jump into Instagram Lives, so you can catch me there too. I would love to, you know, get a shout out from you guys, and you know, check me out there. So here at Whiskey One, always remember, it's about the one you enjoy. Cheers.